triangles and putting it into some application problems, some word problems. So in this instance, I have a flagpole and a person. And the diagram is given to you. You just have to figure out where the numbers go. So she's put a mirror in between her and a flagpole, trying to figure out how tall the flagpole is based on some other distances. The mirror is 6 meters away from the flagpole and 2 meters away from Sandy, and the height of her eyes is 1.57, so that she can see the top of the flagpole. So where does the 1.57 go? What letter? C? And then what's A?
2 meters.
2. And 6 is B. That means that X is what I'm looking for. So then how do I write my proportion? And remember, after I did the one at the beginning of class, shh, I shouldn't hear you speaking, especially because I'm recording. All right, so 1.57 matches what? It can match several things. What do you want it to match? X, okay? And then we started with the small triangle. I have to start with the small triangle again. That means that it has to be 2 over 6. So then we cross multiply, and I get 2x equals 9.42. Then we divide. X is 4.71 meters. That's all it is. Word problems for this section, in fact, most word problems are pretty easy because they're just simple. There won't be a lot of algebra and there won't be a lot of difficulty. So this is how we figured out how far across the Grand Canyon was using this kind of math. So you've got a tree on the other side of the canyon. I know how far some of the distances are, things that I can measure, even though you can't measure across the Grand Canyon, not with a tape measure. So we can do it, again, using similar triangles. So what does the X match? 7.5. These are both, from this picture, the vertical distances. So then I started with X. What's on top, the 10 or the 100? The 100. Because we went from big to small. So then that's 10x equals 750. X is 75. So when it says to find the width, just make sure you answer that it's 75 feet. Make sure that you answer the question that's being asked. The same thing is true for this next one. There are just some things that are difficult to measure. Now, with this picture, we can use trig, which is our next subject, but for this one, we're just going to continue to use similar triangles. I want to know the length of the pond. That means, I can't use that one, that means this is x. So what does x match? So this is the horizontal distance, and this is the horizontal distance, so that means x is 12. And since I started from the triangle that's drawn around the pond, then I'm going to use 5 and 3. Now I can use those angles, and we'll do that with trig in our next section, but I can use those angles to find those lengths too with different work, not less, not more. So let me cross multiply, and I get 3x equals 60, so x is 20 meters. When you're asked a question like it says, what is the length of the pond? Please include the units. That's part of answering the question. Like I'm asking you to tell me how far something is. How far has a unit, meters, feet, kilometers, whatever. Okay. This one doesn't have a picture. It just works better for me to draw the picture. Every time that I do this, I draw a picture. So I got a flagpole and a shadow. So the flagpole casts a shadow that's 28 feet long. How do I know that that's the shadow? Well, the shadow goes on the ground, which is horizontal, and a flagpole is vertical. So that's how I draw that. And then I've got a person, and their shadow, which is a little wonky, is 8 feet long. And the person is 6 feet tall. So now that I have that, how tall is the flagpole? There's my x. So I'm going to say x over 28 equals 6 over 8. This time I didn't compare like this. I compared this way and this way. It's okay to do it that way. I can compare this all kinds of ways. I can go like that. I can go like that. As long as I keep my pattern the same, I can choose multiple different ways to solve this problem. So now that I have the proportion set up, I've got 8 times x and 6 times 28. So that's 8x equals 168. And then we divide. X is 21 feet. All right, last one. Movie screens often have an aspect ratio of 16:9. That just has to do with how it stretches. If you've ever played around with the settings on your TV and tried to, or your screen and tried to make it fit different, and it starts making it look all squished or wonky. I just misplaced my diagram. Where'd it go? There you go. So that means that for every 16 feet of width along the base of the screen, there's a 9 feet height. That's how you can keep them. So here's our basic screen. So 9 feet tall, 16 feet wide. That's the smallest aspect, because then you get decimals. So then we have the Harkin screen, and the width is 115. Where does that go in the picture? The bottom or the side? Bottom. So how tall is the screen? That's this. So 9 over x equals 16 over 115. I read left to right. Most of us do. So that's just my habit of being able to go that way. So cross multiply. 16x equals 1035. Divide by 16. X equals 64.69 feet high. Here's one more example of ratios all the time. So other than it's really elementary school, what is this? Pretend I drew that somewhere good. All right, there's an American flag. There is actually a legal ratio to the American flag. The American flag has to be 1.9 to 1. So it doesn't matter how it works. It doesn't matter how big the flag is. So if the flag is suddenly 30 feet this way, then it has to be 30 times 1.9 in the long way. So if you've ever seen pictures of flags where the flag is really, really long, that's technically an incorrect flag. There is actually a U.S. executive order, or a law almost, that makes it so the flag has to be in a specific ratio. So that's why all flags look the same, because they're in that same ratio. We do this all the time. We talked about it for race cars, for toy cars, all kinds of things. So you'll see lots of things that have to be in a specific ratio. So you can look at the huge flags that are flying over the dealerships or anything, and know that it has the same ratio as the little tiny ones you get for 4th of July. All right, on the back of that page is 6 problems for you to practice. Draw the picture. Make sure that you label them correctly, and then you're cross multiplying. You should be able to get a 2 on this test without even trying. So please make sure that you're taking the time right now to do that.